Hey friends, Savannah here, and welcome back to another cozy sketch. Today we're drawing one of my toddler's favorite fruits, a sweet little cluster of blueberries. I'll walk you through my process in Procreate, and you can sketch along using the free template, color palette, and brushes that are all linked below. Let's jump in. If you downloaded the Procreate template, you should be able to import that. I also included the PNG file so you can upload that as well. But let's go ahead and create a few layers for these blueberries. And once you create those layers, let's go into the color palette. Scroll down until you find the blueberry color palette that I also included. And we're just going to select the colors for the background. Click that square blend brush and just start filling in the background with that first color of our choice. Again, you can do any color you want for the background. This is just the color that I decided to go with. I'm just alternating between these two gray colors just to blend them out a little bit more for that background. Now that we have that background done, we could start working on the blueberries. So pick one of the blueberries that you want to fill in. Select that darker color. I always like to start dark and work my way to the lighter colors, and we will build up on top of that. I'm also using that circled dark brush just to add more dark colors into this. Now that the shape is filled in, you just want to make sure that there's no rough edges unless that's the style you're going for. And once you get the shape you like, just alpha lock that layer, then select a lighter color so that we can start filling it in. Now I'm using the same brush, the round dark brush, to fill this layer in. You can use the light brush, you can use a regular brush. Really, again, it is based off of your preferences. I'm just going in with the dark for now and then adding in the colors. One thing you'll notice is that I'm adding a lot more color, a lot more purple, a lot more blue, and I'm not really sticking too closely to the outline that I have. It's up to you if you want to sit closer to it or deviate from it. I'm just kind of going off of what looks good, where I kind of want that light to come in and just building up upon that. And now what we're going to do is start blending those colors in. So you'll see I click that circle blend brush. I am going and selecting different colors on my blueberry just to kind of blend it out a little bit. So again, to select it, just hold your finger down on the color that you want to select and it will select it in there for you. And I'm just going around and blending out the blueberry a little bit. Once you get the blending to where you like it for the blueberry, we can add back in some detail so it gives it more definition. So pull that outline layer back up. We will grab a lighter blue color and then bring the brush size down a little bit and start adding in detail. Once you start getting the shapes how you like it, you can turn off that outline layer and then just kind of touch up the areas that are still a little rough or you want to fix. Now what I'll do is add in a little bit more of a lighter color just to give it more definition. Now we are still using the round blend brush, and so you can add in some of those in-between colors to just really blend it out more. And now what I'm going to do is add more highlights to the blueberry itself, again, just to give it more definition, make it stand out a little bit more instead of having it all just really blend in together. And now I'm going to do the same thing, but with the darker color to bring up those shadows more. And then one of the final steps I will do is I'll bring that brush size up. I'm going to select that main kind of blue color and just very lightly brush it over the entire blueberry to just get it a little bit more cohesive and blended. And now we're going to do a little of that orange center where you pull the blueberry off of the tree. And so just grab an orange that you like, select your circle brush, and then you bring it down the size a little bit. Just add a little bit of that orange on the inside. So I didn't like how that was looking. So to undo, you just tap your iPad with 2 fingers. That will undo what you've just done. I'm actually going to try and do the circle blend brush to see if that kind of blends in a little bit better and not so stark. So far, I'm liking it this way, so I'm going to continue doing the blend mode. Now I'm just adding it a little bit more lighter, a little bit more darker colors to give it a little bit more definition, give that highlights, those shadows, just to make it a little more interesting than just one solid color. Now, once the blueberry's looking close to how you want it, if it's finished, we can do something really easy so we're not coloring in every single blueberry, and that's to duplicate. So swipe left, click that duplicate button, and you'll have multiple blueberries that we can now reposition on the screen as I'm doing here. So I also try to scale the blueberries down a little bit. I'm going kind of up the template, so I'm making them kind of fit that shape. Rotate them around. It gives them that uniqueness so it doesn't look like they're all the same blueberry that we just did. Now that the blueberries are where I like them, I'm going to start adding in the other ones that are surrounding it. Now, I didn't copy paste for those because they are facing different directions, and I also wanted to bring a little bit more variety to what is already there. So what you see me doing here is I do have a few layers that I'm adding these blueberries to. I will add a few to each layer instead of having each individual blueberry have its own layer. You are absolutely fine to do your own layer for each of the blueberries. Just remember that there is a limit size for the size that you put in for your canvas, and so you might hit that. That's why I'm kind of doing them all on the same layer as long as they're not overlapping when I do that alpha log to add in highlights and shadows. It's not going to overlap each other. It's not going to be challenging to do that. And so that's what you're seeing here. So I'm filling in a couple of these blueberries just with that dark blue to get their general shape, make sure that the layers are correct, that certain blueberries are behind others, and then I'll go in and add the lighter colors and the highlights. So now we want to add details back in. So alpha lock that layer, go select the color you want to use. In this case, I'm doing the blue, and make sure you're selected on the brush you want to use and start adding details back in. So we'll keep adding in more of these colors similar to how we did with the first blueberry, add in more of the lighter purples, the darker blues, until you get a general color scheme of what you're looking for. And then we will start blending it out again, similar to how we did that first blueberry. Now that I have it blended out, again, I'm going to add in more of the sharper details. I'm going to take this dark blue color. I'm going to make my brush size a little bit larger. I'm going to add in more of that star area that you see on top of the blueberry. And now we'll go around and do the same thing to all the other blueberries that we have on the screen. Now that our blueberries are done, I typically like to merge it all into one layer. You don't have to do that, you can keep them separate, but it just makes it a little bit easier when I'm adding these very final details. To do that, you just pinch your fingers with the layers that you want to include, and it will merge it into one layer. Now, what I'm doing here is adding very final details just to make it not as blended. I don't want it to be super blended. I want a little bit of that choppy graininess. And so I'm just adding a few details here and there with the highlights. I'll go through and add a little bit with the lowlights as well. Now the blueberries are about where I would like them to be, so I'm gonna add in the other details in this image. There's a napkin or a cloth that's underneath these blueberries that we'll add in now. Select that letter color, go back to that circle brush, and just do again the general shape. We'll alpha lock it, add in those darker colors in the shadow area. So I'm going to do a little something different here. In all the other layers I've been doing, I've just been doing alpha lock and adding directly onto that layer with the highlights and the shadows. But for this one, I'm going to show you a different approach, which is the clipping mask. So do a new layer, select clipping mask, and what that does is essentially locks the current layer that you're on to the shape of the layer below it. So you can draw anywhere on the screen and it's only going to show what's drawn on the layer below it, but it's keeping it as its own separate layer. So you can change that color if you wanted to. You can change the shape, whatever you want to do, and it's not going to affect that first bottom layer. The other reason why I did it as a clipping mask and not directly on that layer, so that I can do the Gaussian blur. If I did all of this on that same layer and did the Gaussian blur, it would make that whole shapes, that lighter color would also fade out and blend out. I don't want that. I want that definition of the edge of that shape below. And so by doing a clipping mask, I can blur out these shadows without impacting that first layer. And then we're gonna do one more thing here, and that's to add a shadow underneath of that napkin or that cloth that we have there, just again to give it more definition. So select that darker color, add in a little of that shading, and then we'll do a Gaussian blur on that as well. And for the Gaussian blur, you can go as far as you want with that. I usually keep it around, I would say 8%, just because I want a little bit more definition. The further or higher percentage you use, the less definition you get. And so that's why I keep it around the 8%. It gives it that nice blur without losing that definition or that shape. And now we're done with our blueberry sketch. So thank you so much for sketching with me today. If you enjoyed this one, be sure to like and subscribe and tag your version using hashtag French Savvy Sketches so I can see your work. There's a new video every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you like early access, see what we're sketching this month, I have a Patreon linked down below. You can also find all the other details linked in my description down below as well. But I will see you Friday for the next sketch.